We're going to take another couple minutes and let people get signed in. Welcome. We'll take another couple minutes and let people get signed in. It's an interesting way to attach to class. The first time we've ever used LinkedIn Live for a class. And also very excited that we've extended the invitation to some people outside of our class. And so there are some folks that are attending class with us on an observation basis that might be doing other things. So we'd like to welcome those people as well. And we'll get started in about 2 minutes, okay? Okay, this is Professor Dahl. I would like to welcome all of my digital marketing and revenue management students today. As I mentioned in class, we are very, very, very fortunate to have a guest speaker today with us, Mercedes Blanco, who is Vice President of Sales of the Americas for BCV Social, which is a company that is a part of the RateGain company of families. And I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to those people who have joined us via our social media channels today. You are actually joining a real class. You're joining a combination of my 2 digital marketing and revenue management classes. And really would encourage all of you to participate with questions in the different chat functions, depending upon which platform you're watching us on. And would encourage everyone, of course, to follow us in the future for future webinars like this. And without any further ado, I would like to mute myself and introduce Mercedes Blanco.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to share this beautiful morning, afternoon, evening with all of you. Well, obviously, as you can hear my lovely accent, I'm originally from Spain. I'm living in the United States since 2014, and I've spent all my career in hospitality and travel, doing sales and marketing. I've been kind of moving from one to the other because they are 2 sides of the same coin, if you wish, right? As Scott mentioned, I work now for at BCV, a RateGain company. We specialize in social media for the hospitality industry, but I started my career in hotels. As many of you, I would assume, right? And slowly, I moved into other international sales and marketing roles, and that led me to my current one at BCV in the United States. But who's BCV? I am imagining that for some of you, this is a brand new company that you've never heard of us because we are US based, although we are starting to grow internationally. But to give you an idea, BCV has been in the market for approximately 10 years, right? We were one of the first tech-based companies specialized in hospitality and social media. And I will tell you a little bit more of what is it that we do. But just to name a few, we do work with a lot of the big folks of our industry, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, just to name a few, right? We've been awarded as the hospitality provider for social media, right? As you can see at the HSMAI Adrian Awards. Not sure if you're familiar with those, but those are really important awards held in New York every January. And a few others like Hotel Magazine or Digital Media Awards. This long story short about what is it that we do and why we are successfully and different is because of how we approach social media. Normally, when we are thinking about social media, you have three options. One, you do it in-house. There are goods and bads. You have full control of the message, but you don't have the time. We all live, sleep, we have a life. Although in COVID-19 times, we spend more time at home that we never had, right? But when you do it in-house, you have a lot of control, but a lot of limitations, right? Then you have another two options left. One, you go with social media agency, a media agency, or a PR firm, or you go with a technological provider. The difference between those two is that if you go with a social media or any other media agency, they will be very strong focus on either strategy and content and even the paid media, right? But they don't have the technological support to provide them with data, with analytics, and with real-time interactions. They will have to go through another tech provider for that, right? If you don't choose that option, if you go with a technological provider, you will get the data. You will get a software that will help you scheduling posts, that will help you receiving messages, that will help you prioritizing the analytics, but you will have to have the in-house capacity of cover that, because I can tell you that social media can be overwhelming. There is a lot, right? So obviously, if you go in-house, you have limited resources. If you go with an agency, you could potentially be lacking data. And if you go with a tech provider, you will have the data, but you will lack the strategy component of it. That's why VCV exists, because we are a 360-degree solution. We have it all in one place, right? As you can see in this slide, I like to divide the three areas of what we do in three. One is the targeted content marketing, or how I like to call this, the proactive work of what we do, meaning the strategy, the content development, the organic, the paid media, all of it. Then the operational support, which I call the reactive work, meaning everything that comes after somebody talked to us, reached out to us, or shared some sort of comment on social media that we need to answer or engage on our end, right? And the third part, which is definitely important as well, is the analytic and the reporting component. Why? Because that is telling us how well we are performing. And one thing that we do that is not that common is that we do provide a concept analysis on how your competitors are doing. So that's basically why BCV has been grown so much over the years, and why we've specialized in hospitality and social media. We do not do any other digital marketing outside of the social media world, right? So now that I have established a little bit who I am, what is my experience, who's VCV, and what we do, let's talk a little bit about social media. And I don't want to start talking about social media without understanding that we need to adapt if we want to survive. I don't know if you have ever heard the Titanic theory, right? Maybe you are too young for those companies, but maybe few of you will be able to recognize those names. Kodak, the photography giant, MySpace, Nokia, or Google Plus, right? Maybe Google Plus, it's still somehow popular for all of you. But what do you think that those companies have all in common? That they didn't adapt, they didn't survive. And why was that? Because they were once companies that had everything in their power to succeed, and still they fail. And the reason why they failed is because they didn't adapt with the trends. So that's why I like to say to all of you that we need to remember that we need to be like water and adapt and evolve with times. I am assuming that all of you are digital natives and you do understand the importance of social media, but the reason why social media is so important is because it's number of users, right? Maybe you remember Maslow, right? And the basic needs that we all need, like eating, sleeping, and all those things. Well, social media is at the top of the pyramid, because we do believe we do believe to serve and to communicate the world who we are, what we are doing, and be recognized for it, right? And I am going to center my presentation today on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the reason why is because still nowadays, especially in hospitality, those three platforms are the major platforms. Of course, we can talk about others like Pinterest or TikTok if you wish, but the thing is that hospitality, it's a little bit too traditional, and we may be a little bit behind of other industries. And there is a lot of things that we can do as marketers in hospitality to monetize TikTok. And Facebook is the biggest of the world. Instagram is the best for hospitality and travel because it's visual capabilities, and Twitter, although some people believe that is dead, is still very much alive because of the human interaction, the customer service solution that it provides to the audience, right? But instead of talking about users, I want you to understand why in our industry, in hospitality and travel, social media is really, really, really important, right? The reason why it's important is because we are changing our habits. We are changing how we behave and how we are looking for information, where we are going to look for that information. Nowadays, instead of Googling, we are Instagramming, right? We are turning to social media when we are looking for inspiration. Right now, to give you an idea, 80% of the travelers of the world, they go to social media to look for that inspiration, right? And what it truly matters is that from that 80% of travelers worldwide, 33% of them are going to change their minds after what they see on social media. So yes, social media is not an OTA. We shouldn't expect the final click coming through social media, although we can create campaigns for it, but social media is in the upper funnel. The ultimate goal of social media is not conversion, is awareness, is education, and we need to remember that. The digital landscape is complex, and maybe the final click is coming through your website or somewhere else, but social media is at the very beginning, just planting that seed of motivation, right? That is happening prior to the trip. Then during the trip, social media is really relevant as well. And the reason why is because remember that Maslow that I was mentioning before? Well, when we are traveling, we want the world to know. We want to tell the world, hey, I'm here and you're not. I'm from freezing New York in January. I'm enjoying the beautiful Caribbean Sea. Meanwhile, my friends are freezing at home, right? So to give you an idea, 3 out of 4 travelers are going to tell about their experience on social media. That is telling us that 72% of the travelers are going to post about their experience. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking if the experience is good or if it's bad, but they are going to be talking about their experience, right? And social media is about recognition. It's about showing and bragging a little bit, right? So most people, they are going to expect some sort of communication or recognition of what they are doing. So to give you an idea, as you can see on the numbers of the screen, 84% of travelers are going to expect a response from the brand. So we need to use that real-time momentum that social media is bringing us to establish unique conversation with our guests through social media. And we need to do that in a human way and not with a machine, right? So now that I've explained why social media is relevant for the hospitality industry, let me ask you, what generation do you believe that is spending the most time in social media, right? You have baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, or Generation Z. You can use the chat for that. Okay. So yes, you got it, the youngest. And I'll tell you why. But before telling you why, I believe that we have a question about YouTube. Maybe the question is why I'm not including YouTube, right? The reason why I'm not including YouTube between Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is because YouTube is not a social media platform per se, right? You can post your videos and people can react, can click on like or dislike, and can comment, but that's it. There is no much that you can do on it. So it is not considered to be a social media platform, but we can talk more about YouTube a little bit later. Regarding a generation, obviously the youngest folks of the room are the ones that are spending the most time in social media. But you would be surprised, baby boomers, they do spend more than an hour in social media a day. Almost 2 hours for Generation X, millennials, 2 hours and a half, a little bit more than that, and 3 hours for the youngest generations, right? And how do they spend that time? Well, 90% of the millennials, they do spend time in social media. And I just wanted to give you some additional data on numbers that is comparing Facebook with Instagram, because although a lot of people tend to believe that Facebook is slowly decreasing, and it might be because it's been on the rise for years, right? The thing about Facebook is that it's still very much relevant for baby boomers and Generation X. And they are traveling and they do have the money for travel. So we do have to remember that when we are planning about how to develop our strategy in social media. So what do you think?
Mercedes, this is Scott. I was wondering if you just comment a little bit. We've kidded about it in class before, but I think a lot of the people that are watching today were active at one point on Facebook. And I think probably the best analogy I can think of is many of them stopped being on Facebook when their parents got on there and started paying attention to what they were doing. And so just talk a little bit about, if you wouldn't mind, I'm sorry to interrupt, but talk a little bit about why people jump that way. You know, why do things become more relevant? Why does it move? What's the reason behind that?
Well, to start with, Facebook provides, or it's well world recognized. It provides trust to the people, and potentially older generations, they feel safer on Facebook and Twitter than they feel in on Instagram, right? And they understand how it works better, and those are well established, right? So but I would say something about Facebook that people tend to forget is that Facebook is one of the technological platforms in the world that understand our behaviors and our taste better than no one else, even better than your husbands and wives, right? And we don't have to forget that Instagram is part of Facebook now. So that means that both social media, they do understand our behaviors. And that means that we can, as marketers, target people better. I believe that we don't have to talk that much about the relevance of one or the other, because both are relevant, but both are relevant depending on who you want to target. And we will go into that in a second when we are talking about how to choose where to start our marketing strategy on social media, right? When we are thinking about a social media strategy, we need to understand that we need to build our social media in three pillars. Which pillars do you think that those are? We have planning, content, and listening, planning, monitoring, and engagement, strategic content, monitoring real-time and analytics, real-time content, monitoring, and reporting. And before you even answer, the fourth answers could be very much relevant. It's just that there is one that is the core and the foundation of everything in social media. Okay, people starting to answer on the chat. Just, I'll give you a couple of seconds more. We have a lot of C's: strategic content, monitoring, real-time, and analytics. Okay, maybe this will answer your questions, right? Content, monitoring, and analytics. And the reason why is because if you remember at the very beginning when I was explaining you the three options that you had, right? It's in-house, agency, and tech provider, strategy, content, listening, monitoring, and analytics, the data. Those are the three components of social media, right? Let's talk about platform differentiation, since we were talking about it a couple of minutes before. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook is still the core marketing communication, no matter of the generation. And the reason why is because it's number of users. If I were to go back to my previous slides, you could see that it's the biggest country in the whole world. There is no other place where you could reach the most people in any other place than Facebook, right? So right now, Facebook is considered to be the guest service social media hub, is where you can reach the bigger number with the better reach. Instagram is the visual storytelling platform. It's perfect for travel and hospitality because it's emphasizing content. And we have to think that hospitality and travel is about dreaming. It's about thinking what it would be like to be somewhere else. And social media has this characteristic of allowing us to dream meanwhile we are awake. We can see what it looks like to be somewhere else. And also on Instagram, we are gonna be using a lot of UGC, user-generated content, and influencers. And Twitter, as I was mentioning before, is the primary platform for one-on-one communication, for customer service. Twitter is like the old telephone. People go to Twitter when they have a problem and they want a solution. They want to complain, they go to Twitter, right? So if we are thinking about our properties and how we should be choosing between those platforms, right? We can see on this slide the different recommendation depending on the category and the service that your property is providing, right? We have select service, airport, food service, lifestyle, and luxury resort. I am giving you our recommendations, but also I'm including some additional second-tier recommendations. For instance, in my opinion, all upscale, luxury, mid-scale properties should have the two, Facebook and Instagram. But Twitter should be really important for resorts and full-service hotels. I will give Twitter like an option to most of my clients. Pinterest, it's only relevant in hospitality if you are thinking about targeting weddings. That's the most important thing for this platform, right? Because Pinterest works really well for inspiration, and it has its place in weddings, right? When we are talking about food and beverage, I would still include Facebook and Instagram, but between the two, Instagram is the most important right now, right? So that's some sort of guidance for when you are thinking where you should have presence on, right? Let's talk a little bit about how we should be thinking on how to build a successful social media strategy. A social media strategy, like any other strategy in the world, starts with something. With what? Identifying your objectives, your goals. You need to understand your general marketing objectives, your property objectives, who you are, who you want to become, and how are you going to act to achieve those goals, right? So you need to identify clearly your needs and your goals, and you need to identify clearly who your audience is, right? If your audience is people within 20, 30 years, all singles, you would definitely go towards Instagram. If your audience is people over 60 years old, you will go towards Twitter and Facebook. So you need to understand your property, your goals, and your audience in order for you to choose where you should have presence on. Once you have defined that, you need to understand who you are, right? And how do you want to be seen? How are you going to build your identity, your brand on social media? What are your colors? What pictures you are going to use? What are your content priorities? And I will tell you something. A lot of my clients tell me, but Mercedes, I have a lot of content of my own. Can I use that on social media? The answer is always the same. You shouldn't. The reason why you shouldn't is because what it works really well for your website, it doesn't work well on social media. And if you think about it, what is the kind of content that you will find on our website? Empty pictures, empty rooms, empty living rooms. And that's exactly what we don't want to communicate on social media. Social media was built to communicate the experiences. So we need to bring those experiences alive. Once we have defined who we want to become on social media, it's time about thinking what is the resources, what is the budget that we have for social media and how we are going to allocate that spend, right? And of course, we need to be able to measure. But let's go one by one. Let's talk about how to build a content strategy. Another mistake that I am seeing across a lot of hotels or destinations or any other hospitality or partner provider is that they talk too much about themselves. Think about dating, right? When you are meeting somebody and they only speak about themselves, slowly, you won't be listening anymore because it's not relevant to you. This is exactly the same. We cannot only talk about our property. We need to identify different areas. If we are a property, if we are a hotel, it's not about talking about the number of rooms that we have and not only about the services that we are offering. It's about talking, it's about the destination. It's about all of the components that make your product successful, right? You need to talk about the property, you need to talk about the brand, you need to talk about the destination, of course, offers, food and beverage, holiday, trends, spas. You need to be complex. You need to communicate who you are, explaining not only your intrinsic characteristics. You need to diversify and you need to understand and unify your voice when you are communicating about that. We were talking about content. What do you think about this content that I am showing you here? Well, as you can see, all of those pictures have something in common. They have humans as a part of the picture, right? And the reason why we want that is because we want to evoke this mirror effect. We want you to think that you can be this person with their feet on the pool, that you can be this person on that infinity pool looking at the horizon. We want to evoke that deep need of traveling, right? So that is why we need to develop unique content that specialize on social media performance. Those are just pictures, but we shouldn't stop here, right? Obviously, we live in the era of video and we need to be thinking about video a lot as well. But I just wanted to bring those photos in front of you so you could see that effect that I was mentioning to you before. We also need to develop original content creation. Those are just some example of Instagram stories. And allow me to click on those creatives so you can see a little bit of what I am talking about. Obviously, there is a lot of text. We need to walk away from sound on social media because a lot of times we will be using our phone devices. Meanwhile, we are attending something else. Maybe now I'm looking something on my phone meanwhile I'm talking to you, right? And I don't want that background to come on this class. Obviously, we can incorporate some sort of soft music, some sort of animations, animated graphics. That's also giving you a lot of ideas, right? Aesthetic. Obviously, we need to build our identity, our brand voice, and we need to be able to stand out. We can copy, but not copy that much that we are just one more in the social media environment, right? We need to identify ourselves and we need to build our own identity, our own visual identity through social media, just creating our own Instagram aesthetics. Then once we have defined who we are, who's our audience, we should start talking about how we are going to reach to that audience. Nowadays, a lot of people understand that doing social media without investing in paid media is a big mistake. And the reason why is because just to give you a number, only 3% of the organic content of the social media world is going to be seen, just 3%. For that reason, we need to put some dollars behind the investment of social media. And there is a rule of the thumb, right? We don't have to be talking about deep pockets. We can just spend $5 a day per campaign to have a very big exposure. And why social media is very, very, very good at targeting is because of its functionalities, right? We are talking about 3 platforms, basically Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Between the 3, we have plus 300 different categories. We have plus 40 different ad types, and we have 12 different placements. So that means that we can definitely understand and put our message in front of the right person at the right time, right? We have something on Facebook called lookalike audiences. If I know that somebody by the name of Mercedes, who's between their mid-30s, married, living in the United States, and we know that that unique persona works for my hotel, I can target similar profiles to me, right? And that way, I know that I am maximizing my target, my budget, reaching out to exactly who I'm interested of targeting, right? And I will give you some examples. Here you have an advertising example. Let me click here so you can see the graphic of the creativity here. But this is Bahamar. For those who doesn't know, this is a destination in the middle of the Bahamas in the Caribbean Sea. And what they are trying to do is through Facebook, Instagram experience, they are showcasing a variety of what it looks like to be there. They are showing their golf course, their entertainment, the food and beverage, their parties. So at the end of the day, what we were capable of giving them, it's plus 46K website clicks. So basically, that is giving them plus 95K US dollars in revenue, right? So I said at the beginning that social media is not a booking engine, but when doing appropriately, we can definitely be providing our customers with the right return on investment. Or to give you another idea, I also mentioned that we are not an OTA, but when we know that we are approaching periods of needs, we can definitely run a promotional campaign, let's say a 48 or 72 hours flash sale promotion that is helping you with that period of need, as you can see here, where they spent almost nothing and their return on the investment was definitely significant for the property. So now we talk about goals, content development, audience, paid media, but let's talk a little bit about how we can establish real conversations in real time, right? I mentioned to you at the beginning that at BCB, we are a tech-based company that provides 24 service customer support. We do that with human people. There is actually human beings behind the technology providing the service to our customers, right? And there is no other better way than giving you an example. In this example here, we have a woman that is sharing on her Twitter that she's going to be traveling to Washington, and that if we see her crying in the middle of the city, is because her child is going to college, right? So obviously we see that, and on behalf of our client, we start a conversation. First of all, we start the very best to her child, and then we start that one-on-one conversation, right? We want to build that human interaction between the two of us. So we ask her things like, when are you coming to town? What are your plans? Etc., etc. Then when she provides us information about when she is getting into town, and that she's actually going to plan to return in the short-term future, we are sending a real-time alert to the property. So in addition to this online communication, we can surprise her with an offline communication. We reach out to the property and let them know the reason of her trip so they could give her like the perfect farewell, right? Some fruit, wine, tissues, chocolate, and a handwriting note just wishing her the very best, right? Telling her, listen, we cannot retain your kid with you, but we can make your stay with us the most comfortable one. So of course, she loved feeling that important for the property and share about her experience online. That is what I am telling you, that human interaction, it's what truly matters in social media. That is the reason why all of us are in social media and where we are sharing things. When it's your birthday, you are posting your picture because you are expecting your friends to congratulate you, right? When you are putting a beautiful picture of yourself, a selfie, enjoying a drink with a beautiful sunset, is because you want to cheer with your friends. You want to communicate. So you have to be listened, right? And that's why all properties, especially nowadays, should be communicating with their clients. But of course, we have good and bad examples. In this case, we have a guest that is attending a conference in one luxury property, and he realized that the door lock chain is too short, and he posted this photo on his Instagram page. But listen to what happened later.
What's up, guys? I'm at the Ritz-Carlton Half Moon Bay. I want to share an amazing customer service experience. I've always said that customer service is low-hanging fruit. I think that 10% of companies out there actually nail this. Ritz-Carlton's a perfect example. When we got here, a door lock was too short. The chain was too short. So I just thought it was kind of funny. So I took a photo of it. You can check out my Instagram page. And I took a photo and I did #fail. And I think somehow Ritz-Carlton, the place was tagged. So we leave, we're here for an event. We leave to go to our event. We come back, no joke, an hour later, they fix the chain. And then on my desk, we got this. So they had went through my Instagram feed. They obviously found that I like scotch. They put a glass of Johnny Walker Black Label and a note and some peanuts. The note said, thanks for the notice about your chain lock. That was a major fail on our part, and we're thankful you caught it. To show our gratitude, we hope you enjoy this treat. Kick back and relax. Doesn't get much better than that. It's unbelievable customer service.
So what do you think of this? This is the perfect opportunity to turn an experience around, right? A lot of people, myself included, was once upon a time obsessed with TripAdvisor. And I am a heavy TripAdvisor user, but a lot of hoteliers, they are obsessed about their online reputation, right? About their reviews. TripAdvisor, hotels.com, booking.com, you name it, right? The problem about those is that those are in social media. Those are review places. And when I am reviewing something, I tend to review something post-stay when I'm home, right? So whenever I return to my place, I go back through my TripAdvisor and I either post a positive or a negative experience. If my experience was positive, fantastic, right? Mission accomplished, check, nothing else to be done. Maybe just communicate with me, but that's it. But if my experience was negative, what are you gonna do to change my perception and my experience about your property? There is nothing that it can be done. I am gone. I am home. I'm no longer within your property. Meanwhile, social media is different. Social media is real time, right? So if somebody is posting something positive or negative about your property, no matter where, let's say Instagram, for instance, and I am seeing that, I'm seeing that in real time. This is happening right now. If I am seeing that and I can learn from what it's happening in real time, I can use the online data to bring an offline conversation and turn an experience around, turning the negative into a positive experience. And we all know how word of mouth works, right? Let me tell you, both examples, the beautiful lady before and now this person with the door lock chain, they are going to be sharing about their experience with those properties for a long time. Why? Because they were listened. And that's exactly what we need to be doing as professionals, right? So now that we understand how monitoring and social listening works, we need to understand how we can measure success, which are the benchmark KPIs. Still, a lot of people nowadays, it's only looking at number of fans. And that's a real mistake, right? It doesn't matter if you're having 1,000 million follower base. Well, it does matter, but it only matters if those are the right followers, right? It's not about volume and quantity, it's about quality. I'd rather have 1,000 followers that are truly my potential customers than 1 million ones that are completely ignoring me, right? So for that reason, instead of focusing so much on followers, we should be focusing on engagement. What engagement means is when people is talking to us, reacting to our post, commenting, sharing, clicking, providing us with some sort of interaction, we are measuring that as a part of an engagement metric, right? And that is telling us how engaged the audience is with our product. So that is the number that we should be looking at, right? The engagement rate. Of course, we can also measure clicks to our website, views, revenue, but the most important metric on social media nowadays is engagement. Again, social media is in the upper funnel, not in the lower funnel on conversions. We can convert with campaigns like we were seeing before through paid media, but that's not the ultimate goal of social media. Social media lives to become the perfect awareness place for your brand. Understood? Wonderful. So then what is it that you can do to start changing the social media culture of a property, of a hotel? Well, the first thing that I am going to say, and I am sorry for saying this, that just because we are young doesn't mean that we understand social media or that we know how to build a strategy for social media, right? Just because I'm a heavy user of Instagram or TikTok or whatever doesn't mean that I know how to build a B2B strategy through social media. So that's the most important thing that I want to mention here today. The second one is that we need to invest in video, right? Video right now is generating plus 20% more than static posts. So we need to embrace video. Photo is just too old, and still we need to rely on photo content, but we need to start doing graphic animations or video, right? We need to be short. Short means better engagement, right? We need to bring places in our property that are perfect for Instagrammers, right? We need to bring our property alive on social media. And of course, we do need to invest in paid media, as we were mentioning before. But the most important thing that we should be doing as hospitality, because hospitality means help people, right? We are there to give them what they want, which is that ideal dream, right? We need to listen, monitor, and engage 24/7 with our fans. It's like if you are calling and you are not picking the phone, you are ignoring your friends. This is exactly the same. If people is talking to you on social media and you are not answering, you are ignoring your fans, and therefore you are ignoring your customers. So we need to start relevant conversations, and we shouldn't be forcing conversations. If somebody doesn't want to talk to us, let them be. We need to be having relevant conversations. Facilitate those conversations where you are in the middle of the story, right? Add value to their experience. Be authentic. Be emotional, right? And of course, use content that is social media friendly. I don't know if you've noticed, but absolutely all the photos that I am using in this presentation are content that we have developed for our customers, like this picture here. So those are the kind of content that we need to be developed for our clients, right? For our partners. So let's talk a little bit about influential marketing, right? I know that when we talk about social, it's hard just not to think about influencers, right? But I like to say that although I believe in influential marketing, we need to think about two kinds of influencers: macro influencers and micro influencers, right? I do believe in micro influencers the most because those are unique. And all of us, we are influencers with our own friends and family, right? If I am posting something about a positive experience, I guarantee you that my friends are going to trust me more than what they would trust the brand. And that's the reason why brands are turning into real people to communicate on their social media platforms. We tend to have better trust on people talking about things, even though when we don't know those people, right? And we tend to engage most when we see UGC, user generated content. And we as brands need to leverage all of that through influencer marketing. One thing that I would like to mention about influencer marketing is how to select a good influencer. The first alignment that we need to be making is we need to take a look into who they are. Exactly the same way that we need to analyze who we are as a brand, we need to analyze who they are as a brand, right? And to see if those brands coexist and they are alike. We need to look at their lookalike, their tone of voice, their demographics. We need to understand if they are the right fit for us, right? We also need to look at their location. I guarantee you we have thousands, or if not thousands, hundreds of influencers closer to us than we think. So we can save a lot of money by turning into a local influencer instead. And we know that the higher the reach, the higher the fee, meaning the higher the number of followers, the higher the fee. But remember, high number of followers doesn't mean high number of engagement. So that's why I like the micro influencers better, because micro influencers tend to have better engagement rates and therefore better results for my actions, right? Some tricks on how to find influencers. It's start with those influencers that you already follow. Google it, influencers in Miami travel. Take a look on those suggestions on your social media platforms. Search for bloggers, for hashtags. Use your own followers base. Use different search functionalities of Instagram. And of course, once you have selected up all of them, take a look to see if they have worked with your competitors, because you'll be surprised. And then reach out to them to establish or to start some sort of negotiations. The other important thing that we need to understand about hiring an influencer is that we need to disclose that we have hired an influencer, okay? One thing is when a micro or micro influencers at your property and they proactively share about their experience, and that might happen, right? And another thing is when we are hiring that influencer to post X amount of posts about our property. When we are exchanging money or when we are giving them and stay for free, we are paying them, right? So we need to reflect that, and they need to at least say something like, thank you, X property, for your attention from bringing me to the destination. It doesn't have to say hashtag paid, but it has to be somehow disclosed. We have a question here. It says, I personally think that video content will be really effective and gain more engagement only when you got the real followers. If not, they are only 3-5 seconds chance to catch their attention from people who's traveling on social media. Definitely. I agree with you. I mean, again, engagement is what really matters nowadays. Just stop thinking about volume, think about quality, right? And of course, 2020, COVID-19, we live in this reality nowadays, right? I work, as you know, at VCV. We work with a lot of hospitality brands in the world that have been affected about COVID-19, and most of them have stopped their communications, their marketing campaign. And although I do understand the reasons behind that decision, is not ideal, right? Crisis communication, it's crucial, and social media should be crucial during this timing. So what do you think that hospitality brands should do in times of COVID-19? Stop posting and go dark in social media, meaning doing absolutely nothing? B, stop posting, but still be active on monitoring and engaging with their followers, meaning listening and starting those conversations. C, continue to post like if everything were normal, right? Or D, redefine content, redefine your cadence, but keep posting and keep monitoring. What do you think? A, B, C, or D? Last question of the day.
So Mercedes, we're kind of running up against the time, so let's watch for the results that come across on your poll. First of all, amazing presentation. You took an entire semester's worth of work in social media and condensed it into 50 minutes. I'll be interested to ask my students who they think speaks faster, me or you, because I think that's going to be quite a competition between the two of us. But the presentation that you provided us is literally a textbook on social media and the pieces that are the most critical pieces for using social media in a business environment, right? Not communicating with our friends. So let's see, what was the result of our poll? It looks like I see a lot of D's, it seems like. So how did we do?
Well, definitely it's D. And for those curious minds here, you can take a look later because I believe that Scott will be distributing this presentation between all of you. But you have here why you should stay on social media, basically the reasons, right? Why people is turning on social. We have a lot of followers down there. We can save money. Our competition is silent. So there is a lot of good reasons on why. And this is the how. Right? Obviously, you should stay on, but not like if nothing happened. You need to adapt absolutely your content. I was seeing the other day a hotel who was posting a photo of a really, really great party at the pool. That's amazing, but that's not social distancing. So we have to be very careful with that. So in this slide, you have a lot of recommendations on why or how you could adapt your content on social media. And I apologize that I was running a little bit over the clock here, but obviously I'm here for questions.
So let's see if any last minute questions surface, but again, absolutely amazing presentation. I took away one amazing nugget that was new for me, and that was that in the social media environment, people are not very concerned about the designation of a sponsored post, whereas people are avoiding the paid listings in search engine results like the plague. They just don't want any part of them. But so it's fascinating that when an individual provides that information and clearly has been put in the position to provide that endorsement, we are still very accepting of that information. Whereas when companies use paid listing to circumvent Google's regular algorithm, most of us as consumers have learned to drop immediately to the bottom of the organics listings and start to look at information there. So that was amazingly enlightening for me. I thought that was very cool. And I think also you did a fantastic job of helping us understand the different components that are most appropriate for the different roles. And we have a number of people in the entrepreneurial track that are doing things in the wedding space. And I had absolutely de-emphasized Pinterest, quite frankly, as a channel, and not really considered the fact that that's a perfect channel for driving wedding engagement, for example. So thank you so much. I want to second of all, thank the people that have joined us from the outside. I hope you enjoyed attending a class. This is a little bit of a different a setting for us than a normal class because we had a fantastic expert that shared with us. And finally, my students, thank you very much for joining. I look forward to our update meetings later on this week and spending some time with you guys. And for those of you that we've already had the meeting, please have a fantastic break next week, and we'll see you guys again soon. So unless there's any last questions, Carolina from the background, I think we'll both sign off. And thanks everybody very much. It's been great.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, all of the students and all of the LinkedIn people that joined us today.
Beautiful. All right, guys. We'll see you. Thanks very much.